Hello,
I'm Karena.
and I'm Jamie.
Welcome to As Told by ADHD. This podcast is the brainchild of two best friends with ADHD who share a passion for learning and a knack for finding the most fascinating tidbits of knowledge.
Each week, we embark on a wild and hilarious journey of discovery as we dive headfirst into topics that pique our curiosity. From dark folklore to bizarre statistics, cultural ceremonies to famous dead people, we're here to entertain, educate, and tickle your funny bone.
This week on As Told by ADHD, we are continuing our mini-series on the wives of King Henry VIII. And today, we're getting into wife number 3, queen number 3. Are you excited?
Absolutely.
I don't know if I could really top the drama that happened in last week's episode with Anne Boleyn, but I did find some tea. I will say.
I'm here for the tea. Also, I don't know if any story that we're going to tell on this podcast is going to match the drama. Because,
I don't think so.
was I expecting the king to be sleeping with her sister? No. Was he? Yes. So, if you haven't seen that episode, spoiler, go back and watch it now. Thanks.
Right now. Stop.
It's worth it.
I love you, but go away. Go do that. Come back. Okay?
See you last week, and then we'll see you this week.
Hi. Happy to have you back. I hope you're all caught up.
Yeah.
So I found some tea, I found some drama, and men have a lot of influence on this wife. Let me tell you. She tends to attach herself to things, and I think it's a coping mechanism. So let's get into it. The third wife of King Henry VIII is Miss Jane Seymour. She was said to have the typical English country gentlewoman upbringing, but she was born around 1508 or 1509. We're not entirely sure because her birth date was unrecorded, but from where she said her age was during her lifetime, they kind of pinpointed it to about that time.
Also, side note, in this specific time period, men were often more likely to be recorded, their stuff. So a lot of women's stuff didn't get recorded. So even though she was the Queen of England for a period of time, we don't have that information because women didn't matter, I guess.
And Jane's parents, John Seymour and Marjorie Wentworth, were popping out children. 10 children. Okay?
Could not be me.
Yeah. 4 of them unfortunately died. 6 survived to adulthood. But 10 children, she was popping them out. So they just were oh, another one. Great. It's a girl. Her name's Jane. That's a good one. All right, next baby.
That's crazy to me. The idea of one, how did she survive?
True.
That many children, that many childbirths. I don't know if I'm assuming that she birthed all of them and it wasn't miscarriages or anything.
Oh no, they were
out of those
birthed.
10.
Yeah, they were passed. Yeah. I believe one was a miscarriage kind of early on, but yeah.
They were
there's multiple factors. Jamie's reason being the primary, but there was also the factors of there's just a lot of babies. Okay. So, she would be raised at a place called Wolf Hall, which was a comfortable manor.
You said Wolf?
Yeah, Wolf Hall.
Oh, it sounded like you said Wolf. And I was Schmidt?
Wolf. Sorry, that's my country coming out.
That's what I'm saying.
Wolf. Wolf. Oh. And it was a decent sized house, but it was located in Savernake Forest in Wiltshire. So since she wasn't living in a hut, that means she would have to have some type of upper-ish class lifestyle. So her parents were classified as country gentry. The father, Sir John Seymour, was a soldier and a courtier. So he fought alongside and for, Henry VIII. He didn't really fight in too many wars, but he would just show up in the aftermath well done, right? Giddy up. right? So he knew that John Seymour was like loyal to the bone, right? And so he later served Henry VIII as groom of the bedchamber, which apparently was a highly sought after royal ranking household position in the British monarchy. He was practically just like a personal guard or attendant to the king. He managed his private living quarters. They also said that those who hold this position held immense power because they had like influence over the king. So they had like high political influence because you're around the king, you know, in his most like private moments or whatever. But here's what they do to have that influence, to have this desirable job, to talk into the king's ear. It's so funny to me. They help the king get dressed. They manage his wardrobe, waited on him when he dined privately in his rooms. He was a gatekeeper. He guarded the doors, the king's bedchambers, and private closet to control who was allowed to speak to him. They were expected to provide noble companionship, like conversations and entertainment, and he had to clean his rooms, light fires, do security checks, and he had to listen to all that was happening in the king's chambers, and that disgusts me.
Gross.
The fact that he gave his daughter to this man, knowing that he had affairs and was so gross. It's so gross. It's so gross to me.
Also, okay, I would not want to do this for anyone, but then I'm sitting here thinking like, if you were the queen and I got that position, I'd be like, hell yeah, I get to be my best friend every day.
Oh,
but
yeah,
then, like,
for sure.
Anybody else, I'd be like, ugh.
But like, there's just some things you don't want to listen to, though, too. It's just like, all right, while you're doing this, I'm just gonna go step.
Right. But I will say, if I had to, it would only be you.
Say,
like, if I had no other option, it would be you.
But they were being paid like hella money, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like hella money. And the fact that he had like such a full-time job and was popping out children, like, how was he able to go from like being in the kingdom to going to Wolf Hall and like, but anyways, they were able to make some money, right? And they got a whole bunch of free stuff because he had the right to keep the king's old clothes and discarded bedroom furniture. Don't really know what that entails exactly, but they got free stuff, right? For all the children that they were having.
Okay, but like, imagine you're queen. Imagine I'm this for you. And we get to share dresses? Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
You're making this sound fun.
I'm just trying to like put it in a perspective that I'm like, okay, would I do this?
Only for you. 100%.
Only for you.
That's it.
And then we would share dresses. And
but you'd be like, oh, you know what? This blue would look really good on you. Take it. No, I only like the green one. You know what? I hated that green one anyways. Take it.
And then like we'd be like walking around the halls, like gossiping all the time.
That would be really fun. That'd be really fun. If it was us, it'd be fun. This situation doesn't seem so luxurious.
Yeah. I mean, maybe they were friends. We don't know. Maybe they were like besties.
I mean, yeah.
Maybe.
True. Maybe. There's not real much documentation. There is just, all we know is that the king did trust him a lot. I don't know if that was reciprocated, you know? So, but Jane Seymour's mother, Marjorie Wentworth, was said to be a celebrated beauty in her youth. She even inspired poems by John Skelton. There was one called The Garland of Laurel, which John praised Marjorie's like looks and charms and virtue and all this kind of stuff.
Are there pictures existing?
Huh?
Are there like pictures existing of her still?
There's
like,
one
portraits?
when she was older. And pregnancy nose is a thing. I can see the potential.
Yeah.
But you can tell that she's been through a lot of childbirth.
Why? Okay. We need to do an episode on like why that happens. Except we're not really a science channel, but I really want to know
why. What the heck? I've birthed one.
Yeah, but like why do people's noses change? Like, I feel like the first person that comes to mind for me is like Zooey Deschanel.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Her nose changed a lot. I mean, like, she's still gorgeous, but like, you could tell, especially on her second child.
Yeah.
Anyway,
no, we
sorry.
need to go into
Sorry for
a
the
little
tangent.
science. We do a lot of history. We need to veer off every now and again. Keep you guys on your toes. So, but there's a snippet from this poem. It says, with marjoram gentle, the flower of goodlihead, embroidered the mantle is of your maidenhead. Plainly I cannot gloss ye be, as I divine the pretty primrose and the goodly columbine. This is hard because I don't speak like this. Just bear with me.
Try it with a British accent, maybe?
Benign, courteous, and meek, with words well devised in you who list to seek. Why is that easier? Why is that so much easier?
I have no clue.
Why is that so easy?
You're welcome.
Be virtuous, well compromised, the flower of goodlihead, embroidered the mantle is of your maidenhead. That was so much easier to do. Wow. Okay, well, on top of her being cute or whatever, she had an elite lineage. She her family directly defended the king from Edward III. He was an English king who ruled from like 1327 to 1377, and her cousins were the parents of Anne Boleyn and Catherine Howard.
Yeah. Okay, so they're all related. Okay.
They're all freaking related, okay? This made Jane Seymour a second cousin to both of those queens.
That's crazy. I knew that Catherine Howard and Anne Boleyn were related because Anne Boleyn's mother was a Howard. So I knew that they were related because I looked that up.
Mm-hmm.
But that's crazy.
Isn't that? It's such a small world. There's lots of mixed genetics going on in here. Unfortunately, that's just how it was. So.
Good.
Even though she had a pretty good upbringing, she wasn't really, like, educated. She was smarter than most commoners, but nothing like the first two wives, Catherine of Aragon and Boleyn. They were smart, okay?
You calling her dumb?
She could read and write her name, and she was really good at needlework.
But how is she from such a prominent family and not have that education?
Dove into other children, like the men.
Okay.
Because her brothers come into the story kind of heavy. So I honestly think it was just, I'm going to make sure you know how to cook, clean, make clothes, and at least read and know how to write your name.
Okay, I mean.
So that was pretty much it.
Got it.
But she wasn't, this is another thing too. She wasn't like the prettiest girl in the world according to their beauty standards. So they were just like, let's just give you all these really good qualities and maybe you'll get a husband, possibly. So, she had a lot of qualities of her mother, which was very alluring. Like, there's obviously a poem written about it. They said that she was like a quiet soul. She was kind of stoic, which is odd, but it's documented that she was like not super pretty, but they were like, she has great skills. So she was sent to the court to become a lady in waiting. How? Her family were wealthy landowners because he accumulated all this stuff from the king. And Jane's mother, Marjorie Wentworth, was related to Thomas Howard, the Duke of Norfolk, who was one of the most powerful and influential noblemen in England. And his direct blood connection to top-tier royalty and the royal role of Jane's father gave Jane the necessary standing to get into a court position. So Jane was able to serve alongside Anne Boleyn under Catherine of Aragon.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And Catherine was like, she wasn't like objecting to like the women who came in. She was just like, as long as you're poised, you're smart enough, or you have good skill, stuff like that. She wasn't really just like, ew, not you. She was very accepting, a very accepting woman. But Jane Seymour was over the moon because she admired Catherine of Aragon so much. She had intellect. She had traditional values. She was super loyal to her religion. Like, it was Jane's, like, literal whole role model. But while she was there, just, like, living her dream, essentially, just be quiet, nice life. Back home, there was a whole scandal happening at Wolf Hall. The scandal lasted between 1527 and 1530. Jane was about 18 years old, and this is till she was about 21 years old. Her father, John Seymour, was caught having an affair with Edward's wife, Catherine Fiole. And Edward is his son. So, like, it just, yeah, he was having a whole affair. It lasted a couple of years. And Edward's wife, Catherine, gave birth twice. There was 2 sons during this affair time. And this caused, obviously, a very big rift in the family because he's like, I don't know if these children are mine. Do you see the predicament? I can't, like, I have to disown these children because, like, I don't know. I'm not going to raise children that aren't mine. Because it was a lot more cut and dry back then. You didn't, paternity tests
but
were
like,
not yeah.
But like, I don't know.
She was having
children
a
are
whole
children.
affair. Whole affair. So, historians believe believe this drove Jane strictly to like a full-on moral like rectitude. Chastity became the number one thing in her life. Virtue, like she was just like, I am going to be the purest soul that has ever existed because this happened. And then the sons ended up being taken care of by John, her father, because he wasn't just about to let 2 strong men leave the house, right? Not men at the time, but like, you get what I'm saying. And Marjorie stayed with John. Why? Because of public appearances. She came from a family where that's like huge. And there's documentation because there's like letters, She's like, you're not going to ruin my name. Figure it out. So, all the consequences fell on the wife of Edward, Catherine Fiole.
As it usually does.
And Edward, Jane's brother, threw himself entirely into his military and court career. He secured an appointment as esquire of the body to the king in September 1530, and this allowed him to live at the royal court, so he was able to like stay separated from his father for a while, who ended up staying home around this time. Jane clinged like a leech to Catherine of Aragon even more. She wanted to be just like her because Catherine was the embodiment of grace, stoicism, all around perfect wifey material, and she wasn't sleazy, she wasn't gossipy, she was nothing like that. She didn't want to take the throne either. She just wanted to become as good could possibly get under Catherine of Aragon. And even when King Henry was going through the Great King's Matter and putting Catherine and Mary through the ringer, Jane was loyal to them through the whole thing. She was in her early 20s around this time, about 23, 24-ish, when that whole annulment was happening. Catherine was sent away, obviously, and Henry VIII got remarried to Anne Boleyn. She had to navigate through that because Anne Boleyn did not have the same religion. She did not hold like the same values closely. Like, she was just like, I'm here. I want this to be painted this way. And I want to get rid of this religious thing. Because they were, they were connected to Rome during this time, the Catholic Church. And then they separated. So she wanted like her religion style to be portrayed. And that kind of like really messed up Jane because, like I said, she just started like really clinging to people. And she was like, this is all Catherine of Aragon stuff that's just being ripped down and like built back up. But it was like, a new era, unfortunately. And and everything. So she tried her best to keep under the radar. She was obedient. She was quiet. But Anne's French style, which was like very lively, still intellectual and stuff like that, but it was, more fashion based or poetry and stuff like that. This shy and reserved girl had to like participate in like things that she was really uncomfortable with, but she just would try to like be invisible because she had courtly dances and games that were harmless. They weren't to like embarrass anybody, but she was just like, I don't know what to do with my hands type thing. She was so scared of like having a light shown on her in like any negative way at all that she was just like, I'm going to just do this real quick and then I'm going to go sit like a nice girl, like in the corner to try to be, she just wanted to focus purely on her duties. She didn't want to anger Anne by being bad at the game. She didn't want to annoy her, even though there was no reason to really think that, I don't believe. But during late summer 1535, Henry VIII and Anne Boleyn went on a royal progress, and in September, the royal entourage started at Wolf Hall, Jane's home. And of course, being a lady in waiting, she went along. And at the hall, it's much smaller than the king's residence. And that's when Henry noticed Jane. She was about 27 at this time, and she was still unmarried, which was odd, but the king was attracted to her because she was quiet and submissive and seen as like a soothing presence. And I'm not saying Anne Boleyn's a bad person at all. We all heard her story, right? You came back after watching that, right?
Yeah. You didn't go? Go now.
Go.
Oh my God. We'll wait.
Welcome back. So Anne Boleyn was just a lot livelier. She was opinionated, right? And kings don't like being talked back to. And that just kind of caught up. That I think they just had resentment building, honestly, mostly on his side. And they were arguing a lot, right? I feel like it was just debates at this point, but I think he saw it as like exhausting because she kept like talking, which is kind of sucky. So it was like, this girl, she's quiet. I like that. That's cute. And
she
according
listens? Oh my God.
and according to letters written by the king, he was exhausted. So Jane's
I'm exhausted
docileness,
by his story.
Yeah. Jane's docileness looked like a peaceful sanctuary of sorts. So once they were back at the palace, onlookers noticed that the king would have lingering stares at Jane, and they wanted to use that to their advantage. There was a man.
I bet I can guess who.
Say it.
Thomas Cromwell.
Thomas Cromwell. Nicholas Carew. Her brothers that were working in the court were really mad at Anne Boleyn because women are to blame for the men's decisions during this time, and he blamed Anne for causing the king to separate from the Roman Catholics. So they
Oh my God. Did it really, like, this research you did it really say that he was blaming her for that when he gave the idea to King Henry VIII?
Yeah, that's why I said because women are to blame for men's decisions.
Hold on.
Yeah.
I need a minute. That is so frustrating.
Yes.
Okay, I just want to reiterate one more time.
Yes.
This man goes to King Henry VIII and is like, hey, you should annul your marriage by breaking from the church. And then when he does it to marry Anne Boleyn, it's Anne Boleyn's fault?
Yeah.
Sorry. Okay.
Where did you think I
Glad
got
we're
that
on the
idea
same
from? Anne really wanted to marry
Ooh.
you. I just did what I had to do, you know? She was queen in waiting. But anyways, so he apparently wanted things to go back to the way things were. And so this whole little group were being ambitious and power hungry, in my opinion, and they thought that they could use their conservative sister, Edward, and his brothers, Jane, as a vehicle for ultimate family power, it said when I was reading. So what do we expect, really? Nothing less, because they're just power hungry. So Nicholas Carew and her brothers took her aside and explicitly coached her. There was even an imperial ambassador. They wrote detailed letters confirming that Jane was well taught by her handlers. It was some crazy stuff.
I hate men.
Yeah. And she was like kind of spiraling, right? She felt super uncomfortable. So she kind of also wanted things to go back to the way they were. And she was like really innocent because she was just like no outward influence. So like, of course, she wouldn't have much experience with like manipulation and stuff like that, right? So she was just like, oh, things are going to go back to the way things were. Like, great. Like, oh my gosh, I'll do anything, right? So they instructed Jane to use her innocence, as in she was exceptionally pale, blonde, kept her eyes down, was obedient. The king really liked it. We've kind of already talked about it. And they instructed her to never, ever be alone with him. They would say, if Henry tried to get you into a private room, you need to find a reason to leave. So they were trying to build it because they were like, he's gonna go crazy over something he can't have, like crazy.
Right. So she's using the same tactics that Anne did, but in a different way.
In a different way. I wonder if she was like
Okay.
kind of coached too, because these men
Anne?
were around. Yeah.
Or no, I don't think
Like
she was
fed
coached.
like
Honestly,
little things here and there, you know?
I think with Anne, it was more like I can't tell you if she wanted to be with Henry or not. But I can imagine it was either like, I'm gonna remove myself from the situation to either get his attention or to be gone and live my own life. Because
Yeah.
like, she had so much to lose, you know?
So the next thing they coached her to do was to be able to cry on demand.
Excuse me?
She had to weep softly about her endangered honor whenever Henry grew like irritated with her because she was like teasing him.
But like, is she really teasing him though? If he's like, hey, come in this room, and she's like, no, I gotta go.
No,
like,
she's doing it in a way. She's doing it in like a certain way.
But is she? Because like,
she's doing it at the instruction of her brothers. They're telling her
Right.
exactly what to do and exactly what to say. And there's like an instance I'm going to tell you about that's like detailed.
Okay. Well, my thoughts right now are like this girl who has been sheltered her whole life, basically, and who looks up to Catherine of Aragon. I would think that even if she is coached, I doubt she's going to be able to execute it the way they want, you know?
Right.
Like, I don't know. I just can't imagine someone who's that sheltered to be like a puppet, you know?
The only reason I can is because the king hasn't been able to get alone with her yet. He sends people because he doesn't want Anne to know. So it's just second-hand, you know, words and stuff like that. So also, to weaponize Princess Mary, who he exiled, essentially, they told Jane to subtly drop hints that she was a massive fan of Princess Mary. And apparently Henry missed his daughter a lot, but he was like too proud to admit it. So Jane praising Mary made Henry like view Jane as like a potential like healing element to his like broken family. So over time they were doing this. Jane, of course, was doing what she is told. And on March 1536, Henry decided to make his move. He sent a trusted, loyal messenger to Jane's quarters. The messenger carried a letter sealed with the royal crest and a heavy leather purse stuffed with gold sovereigns, which was another word for like a stupid amount of money. Money that's said to buy a woman's sexual compliance, right? And Jane, working off her coaching, of course, fell to her knees in front of the messenger. and the other ladies in the room, took the king's letter, kissed the royal seal, and refused to open it. She handed the heavy purse back to the messenger, and then she said to the messenger, "Tell his majesty that I am a gentlewoman of good and honorable birth. My honor is my only fortune, and if I lose it, I'd lose everything. If the king wishes to give me money, I beg him to do so when it pleases God, and to send me a good marriage."
Okay, we love a good boundary. I don't think this is manipulation. Okay, also, what are the chances that her brothers were like, if you let him touch you, you're ruined. You're going to lose your life. You're going to go to hell, this, that. So maybe she wasn't crying on demand because she could, but because she's like, oh my God, I'm going to go to hell. I don't know. That's how I don't know. If I'm in that position and I believe as sovereignly as she did, I would definitely be like, oh my God, I cannot let this happen. I'm gonna die.
Yeah, and I don't know if there's not, obviously these were secret meetings and conversations and stuff like that. This is just what they've told other people and hearsay, and then that stuff had been written down. But I do think that they were he's unhappy with her, with Anne Boleyn. He's been looking at her sister.
And I'm sure that her brothers have been spending time with the king, so they know him well enough to be like, we know what he likes.
Exactly. So I think there's a lot of things at play because, the Nicholas Carew and Thomas Cromwell were seen as religious. I mean, one's a minister and the other, so it's just kind of I think that there could have been some definite manipulation there. It's how do I go about this if the king wants me? He's just you're a child of God. You just let him down. He'll understand because you're a child of God. I think there could have been something, obviously there was some stuff, but how deep it goes, that's where it gets kind of muddy. But when the messenger returned to Henry and recounted the whole scene, Henry's mind was blown. He was so used to people grabbing his money, apparently, and apparently Jane just being oh, I can't unless I'm married. He literally convinced himself that Jane was an untainted, holy maiden that was literally sent from God.
Oh my
and
God.
In a letter, he said that she was sent to rescue him from the witchcraft of Anne Boleyn.
Wait, who wrote that letter?
It was written by the king. So, realizing that Jane would be a complete tactical masterpiece, Nicholas Carew made a massive move. He gave Jane Seymour and her brothers his apartments because they were connected to Henry's private chambers with a hidden locked gallery. Dead serious. So serious.
This is crazy.
So serious.
Why
So
does
serious.
King Henry, the thing I hate about him most, I hate a lot of things about King Henry VIII, but the thing I hate about him the most is that he lets people manipulate him. You would think that he would know how to not let that happen, but he lets it happen.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm so mad about it. And he's just going to let these people in, and they're just going to manipulate him, and they're going to get what they want.
Yes. Absolutely. And he was like, I have a crush on her, and you're going to let me live right next to her? Heck yeah. Yeah. So he was able to visit Jane without anybody knowing all the time. But they did not let her go alone. Edward and his wife, they were always around when the king visited. But Henry could talk to Jane, hold her hand, but nothing more could happen. And then he became super smigslily frustrated, and it drove him into a frenzy. He literally could not think about anything else. And they were just you know what? If we're going to act, we're going to do it right now because all he wants is to do her.
So is Anne still in the picture at this point, or?
She's definitely in the picture, but he's just not wanting to do her. He's wanting
Well, obviously,
Jane,
but I mean,
so
is it close to marriage at this point with Jane? Or
Anne is pregnant at the moment.
okay,
So
with the
she's
boy,
gonna be,
and it's
yeah.
very soon after. Okay.
They were gonna use this to their advantage because they're like, he could not think about anything else other than her. So he literally could miss all signs of like something's weird, whatever. Then they wanted Anne to have a psychotic meltdown. Henry, as a gift, gave Jane Seymour a locket with a painting, a portrait of him, right? And she wore it, right?
I would not want that.
At the command of her brother, she openly wore it around her neck while she was around Anne. She would open it in front of Anne, close it, right? And it drove her crazy because it was like, who is my lady in waiting, like, looking at? She's like, oh, it's not a thing. And literally just like, I mean, she's hormonal and like, whatever. And she probably had some suspicions, right? And so she literally lunged across the room, grabbed the chain from Jane's neck, ripped it off so violently that it literally cut Jane's skin, the chain, when she ripped it off of her. And Anne's fingers
So
bled.
that's why Henry did what he did. That's why she was beheaded. It wasn't had to do anything to do with the other.
It couldn't have. Anyway. He was probably just mad, and he was just like, you know what? I got her for this one, right? So her fingers were bleeding, her neck was bleeding, Jane's neck was bleeding, and Jane,
what was this necklace made of?
I mean, you have to think, like, necklaces are like, I mean, they're making chains and stuff, and I don't necessarily think they have the tools to like buff it out smoothly and stuff. So Jane was just like, I'm gonna do what my brother said, and she cried all quietly and cutesy so that like she looked like the victim. And Anne was pissed. She's like, why is my lady in waiting like doing this? And she was distraught. She knew something was going on. And then January 1536, Anne walked into a private room looking for Henry, and she found him sitting in a chair with Jane on his lap while she was like talking in his ear. And Henry didn't even push her off. He told Anne to calm down.
And she's pregnant
because she was like mad, yeah. And in sheer shock, because yes, she was so shocked that she went into labor. And hours later, she miscarried a deformed male child.
You know that he's the reason that happened. And he says that it's a bad omen when he did that shit.
Henry walked into Anne's room while she was literally crying over her baby that God would give him no male child by her. And then, like, he literally just walked away while she was sobbing.
What a dick.
Yeah. And so, April 1536, Thomas Cromwell and the Seymour brothers, along with Nicholas Carew, pushed the narrative that Anne was sleeping with 5 different men, including her own sibling. And while Jane was arrested and thrown into the Tower of London, May 1536, Jane was smuggled out of London. Henry didn't want Jane's pure reputation to be soiled by like the trial and stuff. So he sent her to a secluded mansion, a place that was owned by Nicholas Carew, because he was like, hey, I have a place that she can go where she'll be safe. And while Anne Boleyn was sitting in a dark cell facing execution, Jane Seymour was living like a queen. She had personal chefs, fine wine, tapestries. There was a messenger who was being sent every hour of the day with updates on the trial and like letters of reassurance to Jane that she would soon be like free to marry him, like the king. And then, of course, May 19th, 1536, Anne was executed by a swordsman. And the next day, around 9 a.m., Henry VIII arrived to the royal barge where Jane's hideout was and slipped a massive betrothal ring on her finger and proclaimed her his true love.
I cannot with the audacity.
Isn't it insane? Oh, so they were married on May 30th, 1536.
That's so fast.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. And she was like, I'm about to fix all of this. We're going back to the roots, y'all. So she had massive renovations happen. Henry was convinced that Anne's spirit was still lingering, so Jane would renovate everything. She took down like tapestries and pictures, and she wanted to make it clean and religious, and wherever there was like paintings and carvings of H for Henry and A for Anne, it was like a little like mural thing. She like changed it and put a J. She had Anne's like, I don't want to say spirit animal, but like she had a painting of a white falcon on, it was like her personal like heraldic badge thing, like her family badge. I'm not quite sure, but Jane changed it to a phoenix rising from the flames. So she had like every little piece of Anne erased. The fashion gone. Fun fact, she used her dresses, it's not fun fact, it's actually really weird, to make curtains.
That is very weird. I also forgot to mention in the last episode that I don't think Jane was the only one doing this, because there were reports that Henry and Cromwell, and I think a couple of other men, were going around burning portraits, letters, anything and everything to do with Anne.
Yeah, because like I said, the king had like this like feeling like Anne's presence was still there, and it's like a witch presence. It's an evil presence, right?
Do you think he felt guilty, maybe? Because, like, there was no evidence, and, like, like, the people that sentenced her were actually, like, against her, and I think he knew that. Like, do you think he felt guilty at some
he could
point?
have. He did feel guilty about, like, his daughter, what he did to his daughter and stuff, so yeah, maybe.
Right.
But Jane decided to wear Anne's necklaces during her introduction as queen. Yeah, during her introduction.
That's weird.
To the public as queen, which is really weird. So I don't know if she kind of like was starting to have a psychotic break around this time, because everything is, I genuinely, I don't know if her brother, I genuinely don't know. Like, this is power, you know, like stand tall because you're the queen. I'm not sure. But that's when like the conservative like hat hood, gable hood thing, boxed in face dressing, that English woman, that's when that became like huge, because she like banned anything but that, because she thought it would be like pure and holy and stuff like that. And she really wanted to get back to those religious roots, which that was her comfort space. And I don't know if it's because she felt like she was just I don't know. We kind of covered some stuff that could lead to people being utterly, completely religious, but that's what she wanted. And they were supposed to act the way that Jane did, so she kind of like ordered them to stop having conversations in a way. No debates, no banter.
Okay.
It got really religious, and she did order them to have really long studies in religion.
I was not, like, I didn't know much about Jane, but I was not expecting to kind of dislike her by the end of this.
Me either.
Like I don't know how much is her brother's, but she kind of feels like a dictator.
A little bit. And I think that I genuinely think that she was just trying her best to be pure, because she wasn't necessarily coming off like super psychotic, but she was just like, this is of a pure lady. And you will act as of the pure lady, because that's also what the king wants, because he chose me, of a pure lady. Like, I don't know if it's like...
But he also chose Anne, so what does that say? Like...
there's a lot. And I think she was just trying to hold on to something of goodness, because maybe she felt like she was surrounded by a lot of badness. And her badness was actually her family and those men, but, I don't know if she could actually tell the difference, which is really... sad.
It's really sad.
So,
and maybe if she had gotten the same education as her brothers, maybe she would have seen that and caught it. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. She fought also to get Mary back into the court. She tried and she pleaded with the king, but he got really mad. He got peeved off and literally got in an argument with her and told her to remember that the last queen had died because of her meddling. Yeah. So she gave the power to Thomas Cromwell. And
okay. Let's just give it to that dick. Okay.
Yeah. And they forced this pissed me off so much. They forced Mary to sign a very humiliating document acknowledging that her mother's marriage to Henry was incestuous and illegal, and that Henry was the supreme head of the church, and it was disgusting, and she signed it because she needed to get back into the court. She did what she had to do.
Yeah.
So Henry forgave
she
her.
probably didn't know any better. She's still probably a teenager at this point.
Yeah. And she did have a lot of, smarts and stuff because, Catherine of Aragon really poured into her education. But at the same time, the balance of where she is mentally, we don't even really know where she is exactly, But because of this, her signing this utterly humiliating piece of parchment, he let her back in, and Jane doted on her. Princess Elizabeth, unfortunately, was treated like a bastard, unfortunately, by Jane also, because Jane just, and
didn't like Anne.
And Mary was literally just taken in, praised, that's who Jane wanted to pour her energy into. There's a lot happening in kind of a short period of time during all this hecticness, right? Or maybe that downtime when she handed the torch off to Thomas Cromwell to get Mary back. She realized there's no coronation that's happened yet. I haven't been actually crowned as queen. The king literally refused to crown her when she went and talked to him about it. So it usually happens weeks after the wedding.
With Anne, I'm pretty sure it happened 2 days later.
Yeah, and he was it's gonna happen, and then it doesn't, and then he's it's gonna happen, and then it doesn't. He officially claimed that it was because the plague was raging through London, but everybody knew that Henry was being way more reserved, probably because of his past marriages, and he said that he didn't want to waste a massive amount of money required for a coronation until Jane proved that she could do what the other wives couldn't and give him a living healthy son.
Crazy. Okay.
It's so insane. So in 1537, she finally became pregnant, and Henry was all about her again, bombarded her with gifts, satisfied all of her pregnancy cravings, and by October, Jane retreated to the Hampton Court Palace to prepare for birth, and on October 10th, 1537, Jane went into labor. The baby was in a very difficult position in her stomach, unfortunately.
Breached or?
Yeah, in terms, because they try to explain it, and they're it could have been a couple different things, but breached was one of them. But it made the labor stall a little bit. And because there's no antibacterial medication, Jane was in danger of a bacterial infection. And she was in labor for 48 hours.
Oh my God.
Screaming in agony.
And
she
I'm
had
sure the king was
full-blown
nowhere to be
bacterial
found.
infection. Nope, he wasn't there. And on October 12th, Jane finally gave birth to a healthy, chubby baby boy named Prince Edward VI. And Henry cried with joy. He got there immediately, wept. There was bonfires lit all over London, and 2,000 rounds of artillery was fired from the Tower of London in celebration.
Bitch, okay, you're gonna sit there and spend the money to fire 2,000 rounds when your son is born, but you can't spend the money to make your wife queen? What?
Can't do it. Even though she did the impossible. She had give Henry his prince. But she was weak, dehydrated, literally torn inside. But despite all of that and royal protocol, she was demanded that she perform her duties. Just 3 days after giving birth, the Hampton Court was prepped for the prince's lavish midnight christening, and Jane was forced to get out of her bed, be dressed in the heavy robes.
Oh my God, I bet she was bleeding so bad.
Yes. And she had to go through the cold night air because it's fall, and she had to endure hours of tedious religious ceremonies, and the physical strain that she was putting herself further into, she collapsed.
Of course she did.
with a horrid
Of course
fever.
she collapsed.
Yep.
Of
24
course.
hours after the christening, she just officially collapsed. And she
Not
had...
even queen. That's so frustrating.
Yep. She had what was called puerperal fever, which is also called childbed fever. And it's a catastrophic bacterial infection caused by midwives and doctors and her water being broken because they couldn't wash their hands and stuff like that. So her body was just going in overdrive. She became violently delirious. Her stomach swelled. She was vomiting. It was not good. And on October 24th, 1537, just 12 days after her birth, Jane Seymour died at the age of 28.
Brutal.
Yeah. Henry VIII, because she gave him a son, was shattered all of a sudden. I say all of a sudden, he did really admire how religious she was. So I don't know if he saw that as love, but like, I do think that he did genuinely care for her. He just had to like stand his ground, even though he was like too harsh and egotistical. But he literally said for the first time of his life, mourned, especially a wife. He locked himself in his bedroom, his chambers at Whitehall, and refused to speak to anyone for weeks. He dressed in heavy black mourning wool for 3 years and forced the entire English court to do the same. Because Jane died while her reputation was like perfect, Henry saw her as his true wife. And that was his words.
That's so frustrating. You didn't even crown her queen.
Nope. And Edward, Jane's brother, swooped in while the king was mourning and positioned himself as the baby prince's primary guardian. He controlled who fed the baby, who dressed him, who rocked his cradle. He used his total access to the heir to ensure that Henry VIII named him lead of the Regency Council in his will. And Henry, who would die around the time the baby prince would be about 9-ish years old, her brother, Edward, would crown himself as the Duke of Somerset and Lord Protector. So he made himself a ruler, and he like dictated. And her other brother, Thomas Seymour, took a predatory route. He waited for King Henry VIII to die and would try to marry one of his later wives, and then try to manipulate and marry the teenage Princess Elizabeth, Anne Boleyn's daughter.
No, get out of here.
Spoiler alert, they would later, and we'll talk about it later, they would later be arrested and convicted of treason and beheaded on Tower Hill. So.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah.
God.
And that's the story of the Seymours.
That's crazy. I was not expecting that. What do you mean?
I wasn't expecting it either. I wasn't either. Like, I literally called you and I was like, bro.
I don't know, dude. Like, okay, one, I was not expecting, like, I was on her side up until the point where she started forcing other people to behave the way she behaves. Mm-hmm. That's when I was like, no.
That's not good. It's not good.
So, I don't know. I feel like up to that point, she was just being manipulated, but then, like, she just kind of took over and
it got
did her
crazy.
Own. Yeah. And, like, so, and then the thing with the locket, because, like, I don't know.
I feel like that definitely catapulted Anne Boleyn's demise.
Oh, for sure.
So.
Yeah.
There was some
been, like, yeah.
There was some stuff.
It could have been the catalyst. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
There was some stuff that happened in this story. That's why I was like, girl.
My head's reeling, dude. I'm so many questions.
Same.
And like I don't think there's gonna be any answers ever.
I think there's gonna be some as we dive into the wives a little bit deeper. Like the future wives, because they do overlap.
Oh yeah.
We're gonna have different perspective and stuff.
Not the next one.
Oh, well. Later. So
there's that was 3. There's 3 left.
3 left. Our mini-series is already halfway over. It's crazy.
I know. What do you guys think so far? Do you hate King Henry VIII, he's like steadily getting worse and worse and worse. Like, I feel like at the beginning he was like pretty chill. And then like, and then when it gets to like Jane, some of the stuff you said that he said, and then like the next one, the next wife, some of the things that he said and did, I'm like, you, sir, need to be slapped.
Yes. 100%.
I'm not for violence.
Absolutely.
I've never been one for violence, but he needs to be bitch slapped.
Yes.
Like,
he is listening to way too many people.
Yeah. Letting
It's
way
driving
too
his
many people in his
ego,
ear.
his whole, like, his psyche is just messed up.
Right.
But anyways, I've been running my mouth. Drink some water with me, please. Where's your water, y'all?
I would love to.
Oof. Yep. Yes, sir. Well, that was a whirlwind. And I want you guys, if you guys read anything or know anything, learned something, leave it down in the comments. Let's talk about it. And also, hey, new subscribers.
Hi, we see you.
How are you?
How are
We
you
see you.
doing?
We see you. We text
Welcome.
each
I
other
hope you
about it
enjoy
all
it
the
here.
time.
I know.
I think in this past week, like ever since our last episode, we went from 128 to 141. I think that's insane. I think that is so cool that we were able to like gain so much. And off this series too, I feel like it's kind of like gone a little crazy and I'm here for it. So
Yeah.
but
I
for those
knew
who
it was
are
going to be a
here,
good series because I'm always like, anytime I listen to this, I'm always like, wow, like there's so much drama happening in that time period.
Yes, 100%.
And that's why I love history. I want to hear the juicy gossip.
Yes.
I want to hear he slept with her sister. I want to hear I want to hear a pregnant lady lunging at a woman if she thinks who's sleeping with her husband. Like, that's what I want to hear.
Yes, 100%. 100%. And that's what we got. And we're going to continue to do so because we're diving in on these wives. So, but do something nice for yourself. Be kind to yourself. Find a moment of peace if you can. Search for it because it'll do you good. Do your heart good. And other than that,
what are you doing?
Me?
Nice for yourself. Yeah. What are you doing?
I'm gonna go make me some ramen.
Oh,
because I
was
really
craving
want
ramen
it
earlier.
I really want it. So
I hope it's
I'm
the
gonna
best
go do that.
ramen.
Yeah. Sit with my fiance.
Nice.
So, what are you gonna do?
Well, this weekend, I'm gonna attempt to make homemade pasta. Is it gonna be good? I don't know. We'll find out.
Ooh, that sounds so fun. Actually,
I know if you were here, then maybe you can make it with me, but you're not. For those of you who are new here, we're long distance best friends.
Long distance besties.
And I'm mad at her, even though I'm the one that moved away. I'm mad that she didn't follow me.
Well, no, technically I moved away first. No, technically you moved away first. We dropped you off first.
Oh, yeah,
we dropped you off.
Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. That was for
anyways,
college.
We'll tell you our story a little bit later down the line. Maybe in like a live or something when we start doing those. But other than that, we will see you guys next week for wifey number 4. Goodbye.
You always go church.
It's giving African American.
Goodbye. That's as low as I can go.
Bye, guys.